I knew I was in trouble the moment he smiled at me across the crowded library, that slow, lazy grin that made time stop. Pages blur and my pulse forget its rhythm. His name was Evan, and from that very first day, I knew I'd love him in ways he'd never understand. We met during our second year at university. He was the loud one, the guy everyone knew, the one who filled hallways with laughter and dragged people into his orbit like gravity. I was the quiet one, the type who memorized book spines, not faces. Somehow he noticed me. He sat next to me one afternoon, eyes flicking toward the novel I was reading. "You always hide behind books," he teased, leaning closer. "You ever gonna talk to me instead of those pages?" That was the start of everything. We started having coffee after class, long walks around campus, midnight study sessions that turned into conversations about life, fear and dreams. He'd tell me about his crushes, girls. Mostly, he never realized the way his words sliced through me, each confession a small heartbreak I swallowed with a smile. He'd say things like, "You're my favorite person, you know that." And I'd laugh, pretending it didn't burn. Because I wasn't his favorite person. I was just the safe one. The thing about unrequited love is that it doesn't kill you all at once. It bleeds you slowly, a little every day, until you get used to the ache. You start to live with it, feed it, cradle it like something fragile. I watched Evan date. I watched him fall in love, fall apart, and come running back to me each time for comfort. I told myself being near him was enough, that my love didn't need to be returned to mean something. But deep down, I was drowning. One night after a party, he showed up at my door, drunk, eyes red and wet. "She left," he said. "She said I don't know what I want." I let him in, sat him on the couch, and listened. Then, without warning, he leaned his head on my shoulder. I froze. His breath was warm against my neck. My hands trembled as I fought the urge to hold him, to whisper the truth that I'd love him better, deeper, forever. Instead, I whispered, "You'll be okay, Evan." Because that's what best friends say. He fell asleep against me that night, and I stayed awake, memorizing every second of something I'd never truly have. When graduation came, we promised to keep in touch. We didn't. Life scattered us like leaves in the wind, new jobs, new cities, new distractions. But love like that doesn't fade easily. It just hides behind your ribs, waiting for the smallest memory to wake it. Years later, I saw him again. It was at a cafe downtown. He looked older, tired, but still beautiful in that effortless way. His smile hadn't changed. When our eyes met, he froze for half a second before breaking into that familiar grin. "No way," he said, "it's you." We sat down, talked about life, work and nostalgia. I told him about my job at a publishing firm. He told me he was engaged to a man. My heart stuttered. "Wait, you're..." He nodded, grinning shyly. "Yeah." It took me a while to figure things out. "Remember how you used to say love isn't supposed to hurt?" I guess I finally listened. I smiled, or tried to. He had found what I'd once dreamed of giving him. When he left, he hugged me tightly and said, "You were always the one who saw me for who I really was. I just wasn't ready to see it back then." That night I cried, not from heartbreak, but from release, the kind that feels like forgiveness. Months passed, life kept moving, but fate, it seems, wasn't done with us. I got an invitation in the mail, Evan and Noah's wedding. I almost didn't go, but I did. The ceremony was small, warm, and filled with laughter. He looked radiant, standing there in a light grey suit, hand in hand with the man who now held his heart. As he said his vows, I felt tears burn behind my eyes, not of sadness, but of gratitude, because somehow, despite everything, he'd found happiness. After the ceremony, he found me standing by the garden. "You came," he said softly. "Wouldn't miss it," I replied. He hesitated, then reached into his pocket and handed me a letter. "I wrote this a while ago, never had the guts to send it. I opened it that night after I got home." His handwriting was messy, rushed. "Dear Liam, I don't know if I ever said this right, but you changed me. You taught me what love looks like when it's patient, when it's kind, when it expects nothing in return. I was too blind to see it then, but maybe I always knew. Maybe that's why I could never let you go. You deserve to be loved back the same way you loved me, and I hope someday you will be. Evan." I folded the letter with shaking hands. For the first time in years, I let the tears fall freely. But they weren't tears of loss anymore, they were tears of closure. A year later, I found myself back at that same cafe where I'd seen him again. The sun poured through the windows, the world soft and forgiving. A man sat across from me at the next table, reading the same book I had the day I met Evan. He looked up, caught my glance and smiled. That same slow, lazy grin. "Hey," he said, "you always hide behind books." I laughed, "The kind that starts in your chest and breaks into something light. Maybe love doesn't always return to the same face. Maybe it just circles back when you're ready, dressed in new eyes, a new smile, a new chance." And as I looked at the stranger smiling at me, I realized something beautiful. Unrequited love doesn't mean unloved. It just means the right heart hadn't found you yet.